Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Horse's Mouth's monthly marketing meeting. I'm Sean Bailey, editor-in-chief at Horse's Mouth, and I'm here with Devin Kropp, associate editor, the person who runs our advisor client turnkey marketing program. Devin, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Trying to stay cool out there in Brooklyn?
Yeah. Heat wave's over, but
The
still
heat
got
wave's
that
over. I
muggy
know.
humidity.
That was brutal
Yeah.
heat wave. Okay, so in our monthly marketing meeting, we start broad with topics that are relevant to any financial advisor out there. And then as we go through our meeting, we narrow it down to things that people are doing with the advisor client program and our master membership in terms of specific marketing activities you need to be doing this month, planning for next month, and further down the road. But first, we start with a wide scope. And Devin, we're talking this month about a topic that always interests me, having, built my first web page in 1995 and have been kind of a sort of student of website usability and that sort of thing. But anyway, what are we talking about this month? How to make your website homepage stand out? What's going on?
Yeah, I think if it's part of advisor client and just in general, other programs we've done, our financial educator marketing coaching group, we've looked at a lot of advisor websites, and I would say that the majority of them can be significantly improved with some simple things too. It's not a complex complete redesign. There's sometimes just key things missing, but generally speaking, I would say there's room for improvement on almost every advisor website that we look at. And that includes all pages on the website, but the homepage, I think, is a really important area to focus on first, because that is often your first introduction to prospects online. And even, if you get the majority of your new clients or prospects from referrals, they are also looking at your website before they decide to take action. There was a study that came out, I can't remember where it was from, but basically it was saying, when people are looking for a new advisor and they ask family and friends, they're getting 3 to 5 recommendations, and then they're looking at them online and kind of narrowing down who to contact from there. So even if you are getting referrals from your clients, those prospects are still looking at you online and deciding you versus somebody else that they were also referred to. So it's really important that even if you think, oh, well, everyone's coming from referrals, like my website isn't bringing in traffic. It is, even if it's the referral first, like your website is still helping to differentiate you from anyone else that they were referred to. So it's really important that when they land on your homepage, that first introduction not only differentiates you from anyone else that they may be looking at, but it's a good experience for them when they land on that homepage, and that they can get to know you pretty easily from that page.
Yeah, and of course, there's a variety of ways to do that. And yeah, I do think it's important that your messaging, if you're advertising elsewhere, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or Google or even a print ad or magazine ad, some, regional magazine ad or whatever, that whatever messaging you're leading with in your advertising is, still feels consistent when they land on your webpage. That it's not like you've gone from a look and feel or messaging to something completely different, or as is often the case, kind of just kind of no messaging, or so sort of not unique messaging. So, well, what do you think? What is it in your mind that people miss out on when it comes to differentiating um, the the advisor's business on the homepage?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with kind of the general messaging. There was a study a few years ago where they took, Barron's top 100 advisors and pulled like their value proposition and messaging from their website, and it was all the same. Everyone was using the same terms, and there was no way to differentiate one advisor from the next. If you were a prospect landing on their website, there's nothing making one person stand out from the other. It was all kind of these industry buzzwords that were being thrown on the website. And I think we still see that to an extent where, there are certain words and phrases that are used, and there's not as much unique messaging, being displayed on the page. In Advisor Client, we have our Rich Niche program that we walk people through. And no matter how many times we've done it, the first question we always get is like, I don't want to have a niche and then, turn people off because they don't fit into that niche. And that doesn't happen. Instead, what you're doing is you're kind of having this really broad area where no one identifies with your audience. And so you're not attracting anyone. Whereas if you have a specific niche, those people who fit into the niche are going to land on your website and say, yes, I absolutely want to work with them. And those who don't exactly fit into that niche, if they still like you, they still may reach out, and like, you're not going to turn them away because they don't fit into your niche. So I think there's kind of this idea that like, I can't get too specific because I'm going to, my net's going to be too small. And I think that's a mistake on a lot of advisors' part. So if you do have a niche, that should be on your homepage. That messaging should be really clear, because you're going to close those people who land on your homepage. They identify with the person that you're speaking about, the problems that you say you can solve. They're going to reach out to you. Whereas you just have these kind of broad industry keywords, they're not necessarily going to identify with that. And you're going to seem like every other advisor website that they land on. So I would say, don't be afraid to lean into your niche, to have that unique messaging, differentiate yourself in some way, whether that's, a video telling your story, or the images that are on your homepage are from, the area that you live and work in. Make something a little bit more personal, so there's not this kind of cold general feeling when they land on your website. Don't be afraid to lean into that, your personality, and have it kind of showcased there, because that's, again, your first introduction to this person.
Right. I was just looking at some value proposition research the other day, and I was being reminded of how what you're trying to achieve there, or one of the things you're trying to achieve, and you achieve this when people hit your website, is can you convey that only factor that's going to differentiate you? And I actually went and looked at something we created on our master membership page, and I looked at it and say, oh, right, I think we did exactly that. So let me just, for a second, if someone goes to horsesmouth.com/master, which is our sales page for our master membership, the program that gives everybody access to everything Horse's Mouth has. But our differentiator is a phrase right underneath, and it says, the only program that enables advisors to learn, promote, teach, and advise clients on life's complex financial decisions. So maybe it could be even more specific, but that is an example of how to, of using a tagline to differentiate yourself when you're looking for your only, that only factor. And for advisors, that could be, the only advisor who, helps families plan for retirement, starting with getting their kids through college at a good price, or something like that, tipping the hat to the college planning niche, or even with the retirement niche, the only financial planning firm that makes sure its clients get Social Security and Medicare right as part of their bigger retirement income plan, or those are phrases that are, they've got details in them. And that's the thing. They're not general words. They're being very specific. And of course, there's other ways that you can do that as well. People do that with videos, with messaging. We were talking before about, do you want to, Devin, just discuss for a second about leaning with your fiduciary status, if that's something that in fact does differentiate you?
Yeah, Sean and I were just talking about a study that was in Investment News yesterday, where they basically asked, clients what kind of messaging and what qualities are important in a financial advisor to you. And almost 75% said that, the advisor was a fiduciary. And we were kind of talking before we went live about, do people really know what that means? Or is that kind of just like a buzzword that people think that they should ask about? Whether or not it is, they know what it means or it doesn't, it's obviously important to people. And so having something on your webpage, on that homepage, stating you're a fiduciary could make a significant difference for someone who is looking for an advisor. If people are saying, yes, that's really important to me, have it in your messaging that you are a fiduciary, and make sure that they know landing on there, because they're judging, or they're deciding who to work with, based on that's one of the key factors that they are using. That was actually the number one result in the study. The next one was ability to manage risk, and that was only at 40%. So it was pretty significant that, they were looking for that fiduciary quality in an advisor.
Yeah, we probably should come back sometime and take a look at taglines. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to do this, and the tagline is just one of them, of course, but is a place that you can differentiate yourself. But there are other ways on your website to convey that you're different, or convey the evidence of what it is that you're saying you are, by conveying it in sort of the next level down of navigation and things, right? How does that work?
Yeah, I would say kind of another key area where I see a lot of opportunity for advisors to improve their website is in the navigation. There are advisors that I've worked with who I know are putting on webinars or in-person events, and it's nearly impossible to find any information about that on their website. And that could be, their key prospecting marketing activities that they're putting on these events, and it's impossible to find. And I know they're doing them. So imagine someone landing on that website who has no idea you're doing events. They're never going to find them. So that's just one example, but making sure that your navigation, your tabs are showcasing what's important to your clients and your business is really important. So again, don't hide your offerings on your website. If you're putting on events, if you're writing a blog, if you have a really cool tool that people can use, make sure that they can easily find it on your homepage. Don't have it hidden in like 3 tabs where they have to keep going page to page to page to finally sign up for an event. You want to be able to easily showcase your best content and your most important pages. So again, events, about us, blog, resources, that stuff should be really clear on your navigation listed on your homepage. Don't make people search for it, because we know when people land on a website, they pretty much decide if they're going to stay or go within like 10 seconds. So you really need to make it clear what you're offering and make it easy for people to find that most important content. So don't, hide that stuff away. Make sure that your tabs and your navigation is up to date. Maybe when you first made your website, you weren't doing these events, so you haven't updated kind of that key navigation, but it's time to do that and make sure that, your key marketing activities, your prospecting activities are easy to find on that website, so you can, capture leads and people can learn more about your business.
Yeah, I was commenting the other day that if you are an advisor who educates your clients and prospects on a regular basis, that you have some sort of schedule of events, monthly, quarterly, even more or much more frequently, that is a major differentiator. And we know it's a differentiator because we know from surveys, it's kind of hard to get an exact figure, but it's somewhere between, only between 5 and 20% of advisors. I think it's 20% of advisors in the horse's mouth universe, but 5% in the industry as a whole actually do educational events. What does that mean? That means you're different than 95% of the other advisors you're competing against. And so if you're not conveying that easily and quickly through your navigation or whatever it is that people see above the fold when they hit your webpage, then you're missing a huge opportunity. I've talked in the past about when I turned 59, suddenly I was being targeted by Smart Asset. They thought, I would need an advisor for retirement. And so I completed one of their forms, and they gave me 3 advisors in my area. I mean, that was the headline: 3 advisors in your area ready to work with you. And so they did. And I went and checked out all 3 websites. And, it was sad. They were just all very bland websites. There was nothing differentiating them at all. And on top of that, as I point out, the thing when I was 59, the thing that was most important to me from a financial planning perspective was planning for how we're going to pay for our daughters who is about to become a freshman in college. How are we going to pay for it? And so, of course, I would expect every advisor to know, the ins and outs of retirement. But if you mentioned retirement and college planning in the same breath, or in some way communicated it, that would have really gotten my attention. And I'd have drilled down a little deeper and stayed. So I guess the other thing is the call to actions, Devin. What are examples of call to actions? What do we mean by that? And what are we seeing or not seeing?
Right. So once the hardest thing is getting people to your website. And once you have them there, you want to be able to capture their information so you can continue to market them off of your website. We know it's going to be difficult to get them coming back to your website again and again and again. But if you can capture their email and drip market on them, either events or communication touches, your newsletter, that's going to help you nurture that relationship. So if you've put in all the work to get a brand new prospect to come to your website, you want to make sure that you get that email address in some way or form. So you need to be telling people what you want them to do on each page. Every single page on your website should have some call to action. It doesn't need to be the same call to action on each page, but you only want one call to action on the page. You don't want to have like 5 different things, because if you give people too many options, they're just not going to do anything. So give them something to do on each page. And think about what makes sense on that page. Obviously, if you have a page with your schedule of events, signing up for an event would make sense. Your homepage, if you have a newsletter, maybe that's a place you have to subscribe to your newsletter. Or if you really you're leaning into that financial educator status and events are what you're doing, maybe you have that as your call to action on your homepage, sign up for an event. You're talking about your next event. But no matter what, you need to tell people what to do. Don't just assume that they know what to do, because they don't. And most people are going to go to a website, look at it, and go off. So make that call to action clear. Give them, show them the value of what, taking that action is going to do for them, whether it's a white paper, an event, that newsletter. But don't be afraid to, ask for that information, because you've done the hard part of getting them to land on your website. Now you want to capture that information so you can continue to nurture them offline, invite them to events, again, send your newsletter, drip market on them. But you can only do that if you have their information.
Right. And we now see, we saw it in 2020, and I think we're going to do some more on it. You want to try and build your email list over time. And if you can hit the 1,000 name mark, what that means is 1,000 names, and that doesn't necessarily include all your clients, although it could be some of your clients. But that 1,000 name range really is valuable, because we've seen time and time again that, what's embedded in your followers, if you have, say, a total of 250 names that are client households, and then 750 or so or more that are prospects, people who have come to your website, been to your events, and so on and so forth. There are clients and there are revenue, there's business that's absolutely embedded in that email list. We saw it during the pandemic when advisors turned to their email lists and started doing more education than usual. And they had a lot of signups and a lot of clients and referrals and all that sort of thing. And so as a key performance indicator for your marketing, having one of your broader goals throughout the year to continue to grow the size of your email list should be, an absolute must. And of course, one way to do that is to make sure that people see it clearly on your homepage. I think a lot of times advisors newsletter sign up, free email newsletter sign up is kind of buried. And I think people need to find ways to sort of bring that more to the fore. And so then I guess the other topic relating to your website is, and this is one that's really been a challenge over the last 5 years or so, maybe a little bit longer, but I think more and more people are coming around to it. And that has to do with how your webpage looks on mobile. What's going on there?
Yeah, we know the majority of web traffic now is happening on mobile devices or tablets. And you need to make sure that your website looks good and functions on mobile devices, especially if you're doing things like social media advertising, Facebook advertising in particular. Most people are going on Facebook on their phone. And then if you're doing an ad that leads back to your website, they click on it and your website looks terrible on their phone, they're going to get frustrated and leave. We know, again, we have a few seconds to make an impression. So if they're using their phone to check you out and, the web pages don't fit on the phone, or the navigation is really difficult to use, people are just going to go on to the next, advisor that they have on their list. So you need to use something called mobile responsive design, where, and you'll probably need to work with your kind of web developer on this, but it's a very common thing now, where the design can kind of snap to whatever device is being used. So desktop or mobile or tablet. It's just really important because, again, we know that people are visiting websites from a variety of devices, and we want their experience to be seamless no matter what device they choose to visit your website on. So that's something that you want to talk to your web developer about, and making sure that, your website is set up this way. Google actually has a free tool you can use to see what your website looks like on different devices. So if you Google like Google free mobile responsive tool, it'll come up and you can put in your website and it will kind of show you how your website looks. Of course, you can also use your various devices and check it out yourself. If you're doing updates to your website, that's always something that I recommend, is that you test it on your different devices and you go through the experience as a prospect visiting your website would, so you know that things look good. And it's not just, your homepage that you have to worry about. If you have any sort of lead gen form or people are signing up for an event, making sure those landing pages are usable from a device is really important too. So make sure that you're looking at every single page if you're testing this. And if you're not sure, definitely reach out to your web developer, because it's crucial at this day and age that your website, works on these different devices.
Definitely. Okay. So now we're moving on to talk specifically about what's happening with Horses Mouths Advisor Client Turnkey Marketing Program, and what our master members will be doing as well for marketing this month. It's August, Devin. What's the theme? We operate by themes. That's a great way to keep your marketing going and always give you a clear idea of what's next and what you can pick from. And so we always use themes. And this month, the theme is
college planning. So we're in the kind of the back to school mindset. We have a ton of resources on college planning for our master members. You're part of our Savvy College Planning program, or anyone who's part of that program. We have presentations you can give and tons of resources there. But for advisor client and our master members as well, we have a whole library of article reprints, which are FINRA reviewed, that you can drip out as drip marketing to clients and prospects. The one we've chosen for this month is about filing the FAFSA, do it soon, do it right. I just sat in on Lynn's college planning workshop that we did last week here at Horse's Mouth. And I was reminded that a lot of high net worth clients don't think that they need to fill out the FAFSA because they're not going to get any aid. But it's really important that you fill out the FAFSA regardless. There's other, key opportunities that your student can take advantage of, but you need to be able to fill out that FAFSA to do so. Even some scholarships require it. So it's really important that you are talking to your clients and they know that information and they know how to best fill out the form to give their students the best chances at getting some sort of aid or scholarship or grant or something like that. So that's the reprint we have for the month. In addition, we have a two-sided handout called Key College Funding Data that is a great handout. It has some of the kind of the key stats for college for the year, things like, how much a private versus public university costs, student loan interest rates, all of that. But more importantly, it has a roadmap to college planning on it, where it walks, a client or prospect through the different actions that they should be taking each year that their student is in high school. So freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, what are the actions you should be taking? So it can work for, clients who have kids or grandkids who are still in high school, maybe even middle school, getting it out to them so they can start planning ahead. Even if their kids are seniors, it's worth sending out because it's probable that they haven't taken a lot of these actions, and you want to get that in front of them. In addition, for our advisor client and master members, we've also turned that into a client action webinar. So if you want to get, all of your clients, to log on to a quick webinar where you kind of walk them through that roadmap and different actions they should be taking, that is a great way to have outreach about college planning right now, right? People are going back to school. If they have juniors or seniors, they're probably going to be inundated with kind of these mailings or events going on. So if you can kind of lean into that and do your marketing around that, it's a great timely thing to be doing. So college planning is for the month of August.
Yeah. And, two things about that. One is, as a reminder, your families who have kids in college, you're continuing to complete the FAFSA every year that they're in college. It's not something you do when the kid is a senior in high school just to get them in the first year. You've got to update it and complete it again. So this fall, I think people will be completing the FAFSA for the awards for next school year. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, this is a fantastic resource. You should probably send it out to all your clients. Again, you mentioned, you've got grandparents interested in paying for their grandchildren's education. So you've got that type of client. You've got clients who, in fact, are sending their kids to college. And you have people maybe who, aren't quite ready for college yet. But it is such a great resource that, I would customize it with my photo, name, contact information, the logo. and send it out to all my clients with a short note, just saying, hey, uh, planning for college and getting the best price is, a key aspect of saving and planning for retirement as well. And this is a great resource, share it. I want to send it out to my clients every year, and I'm doing it again. And just to remind you, pass this on to your friends and family members too. Simple, easy touch, and a lot of valuable information embedded in just simple two-sided piece of paper. Okay, and then so now, Devin Morris, the other thing we do each month is start to look ahead to the coming months. September, what's our theme in September?
Medicare. So Medicare open enrollment begins in October. So you want to get out ahead of it in September and start, talking about Medicare. There's going to be a lot going on in the news that clients and prospects are going to be seeing about Medicare, especially with the new Inflation Reduction Act. There are key changes to Medicare happening from there. So again, it's a really timely thing to be sending out. So our reprint for the month is, do you need to sign up for Medicare at 65 if you're still working? That's a really common question that people get. They're confused about, when they need to sign up for it if they're still working, what plans qualify and when they would need to sign up. So that kind of walks people through the different options that they have. And then like our college program, we also have a two-sided handout called our Medicare Quick Reference Guide that has all the key Medicare numbers for the year. You can personalize it with your information. It has, the deductibles, the premiums, everything that someone would need to know if they were, either signing up for Medicare this year or looking to the future to sign up for Medicare. It's kind of a key handout there. It's something you could also be sending to your COIs. They're getting questions from clients on Medicare too. So it's a good resource to be sharing, not only with clients and prospects, but with centers of influence as well.
Yeah, Medicare, of course, with that Inflation Reduction Act has, new rules relating to capping of out-of-pocket drug costs as well. It's really big stuff. It's going to be implemented, I think, over the next few years. But it's, again, the Part D drug thing is something that clients often get their heads confused by. So there actually is good news from Washington on that front. So I'm sure we'll have more on that later in the fall as well. And then the last item for September is what, Devin?
So I did just want to make an announcement to our advisor, client, and master members who are listening, and anyone who's listening. You don't have to be a member of the program to take advantage of this handout I'm going to be talking about, but our last chance checklist will be ready in September. This is an extremely popular handout we do every year. It's designed for you to send out in the last quarter of the year to kind of go over key areas where clients or prospects may have had changes throughout the year. They can check off, the areas that they want to discuss with you, schedule a meeting with you, and you can have those end of year meetings kind of being scheduled now. This was actually the handout that inspired our client action webinar series that I mentioned here today, and then we've talked about in previous monthly marketing meetings as well. The idea being, you send out this handout, but you want your clients to actually take the action of filling it out and completing it and scheduling that meeting. So why not, do a webinar around it? So we have a slide deck that goes with it. You can, do this, in the morning or in the evening, schedule the webinar, send out the handout PDF or a hard copy ahead of time. I think this is something that's worth getting hard copies of because it is a really great checklist. And especially if you're going to do the webinar, it's nice for them to have something in their hand to kind of follow along with you, physically check things off, write their notes on it. And then when they come in for that meeting, they have the checklist they can share with you and you guys can go over it together. So this is something that everyone should be sending out at the end of the year. It will be ready in the coming weeks. So by September, you should be able to start kind of using that in your marketing. Highly, highly recommend it. Send it out, hard copy in the mail, send it out via PDF. You want to make sure that people have this in their hands. It's a great way for you to get those end of year meetings, send it to your prospects as well. It's just really a fantastic handout. Schedule that webinar and you can, get people to take those actions, get those meetings, share it with their family and friends. And it's a great way to just kind of cover all the bases with your clients about things that happened over the year, things they're looking for 2023, and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Right. And so the full name is, just to be clear, is the Last Chance Financial Planning Checklist. And it steps them through some things that may have happened in their lives that they've not shared with you. Oh, my aunt gave me my aunt passed away and I got a $200,000 IRA from her. Or, or we sold the beach house, or we're buying the beach house, or, whatever it may be, but some sort of specific financial planning related item that has transpired in their life that you, the advisor, doesn't know about, because how would you know? You're not omniscient. And they may not necessarily think, oh, then I need to tell you about it. So running through the checklist prompts them, prompts you and them to realize, oh, this is something maybe we should have a little conversation about. There may be some opportunities here relating to shifting things around or taking some specific, maybe doing a sale or, something tax related. There's all sorts of things, but they're key actions that prompt, as Devin is saying, the client to realize, oh, I need to schedule a meeting with my advisor and come in and have a discussion. So good. All right. Anything else?
That's it for August.
All right, everybody. Well, we're moving into the final 4 months of the year, and it's been, a bit of a ride with the markets and the economy. Things are looking better in recent weeks, but let's finish strong. And of course, you'll finish strong by starting strong, and that's by marketing smartly every month throughout the year. And we'll see you again next month, September. Take care now. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.